Hi friends, this is Amy Ellis for Inspiring Stitches, and we need to stitch up a July block. And this is called the Improv Star, and it's actually one of my favorites from the entire calendar. I have been loving improv lately, and the last couple of years I've been exploring it more. And it's really fun to just kind of let loose and not try too hard. So here I have my pattern. Obviously I cut the squares and rectangles that we need, but I'm actually going to just set these aside so we can focus on all these scraps, and they are kind of messy, so I'm going to give them a press. Some of these are rather linear and others are more unique. And what I like to do when I'm improv piecing a square, and what we need to do is piece a square that's the same as this ruler, 6.5 inches. So I like to think about how I want to work. Do I want to work as a log cabin or maybe a strip set? So I think today, because I have a lot of linear pieces, I'm gonna go with a more stripe situation. But I think I will start with my smaller piece here and maybe just attach it to something larger so that I have somewhere to go with this. So, and give it a little bit of an improv twist. So I think I'm gonna stow a 1/4 inch here, and we'll see how that looks when I'm done. When improv piecing, I do like to keep my 1/4 inch seam allowance pretty tight. If I don't have a 1/4 inch, then I could, have things falling apart later. So I like to use my add a 1/4 ruler to trim away excess. And then I also really like to keep my iron close by so that I can press everything as I go. So now I'm going to be looking for something to add, different color, some kind of unique flavor to this. And I don't want to cut off too much of this little piece, so maybe I'll go more in a long diagonal this way. You can verify that you have plenty of seam allowance here, and go ahead and trim away the excess. Now, because this piece is definitely larger than needed, right, we could start to trim away some excess right now before we continue, so that we know exactly where we need our pieces to go. I think I'm only going to trim on the one side though. Maybe I'll just give this a trim in this direction, just something a little different. All right, so I have this big triangle that I think would be fun to add, and maybe not just add it this way, add an angle again. And you see the salvage is still on. I'll get that off, I'll get that cut off eventually, but for right now I'm just going to piece on that edge. It's nice to sew, at least have one semi-straight edge to sew on, but it doesn't have to be that way. But if you're new to improv, I definitely suggest that one edge be somewhat straight so that you have a nice guide to follow. I think I'm going to add this bit of black, and I'm going to put it about there, I think. Again, it's helpful to bring your ruler back out and see how you want it to lay and where you need the most fabric added. I think I'm going to add this one on this side. So I have a rather wonky piece here, but I definitely have enough. And I think I'm just going to twist it a little bit, and it's totally different than I even envisioned when I started. So I'm just gonna boop. I think that'll be perfect. To make the flying geese units like shown in the pattern, you have 1 rectangle and 2 squares for each side of the star. And to begin, you need to mark a diagonal on your fabric on the wrong side of your fabric, and then you will sew on the diagonal instead of a 1/4 inch away like we sometimes do for for half square triangles. For trimming, I still like to use my add 1/4 ruler just because it helps line things up real easily. You can see I pressed that to the dark fabric, and now we're going to repeat on the second corner. And when I'm sewing these, I like to start at the top and sew to the exterior corner, just to keep that point nice and sharp. Okay, and you'll repeat for the 3 remaining sides as well. So what I'm going to do is, just like it's mentioned in the instructions, I'm going to sew these flying geese units to the center, and I will press towards the center, and then I will add these white blocks to either end of the flying geese here and press towards the white squares. There is my Improv star block, and if you need any help, please leave a question in the comments below and we will do our very best to get back to you.